Wasabi wallet. I'm fairly private.
What's up everyone, I'm Ben with BTC Sessions and this is your daily session.
Hodl that Bitcoin.
Before we dive in, of course, shout out to sponsors of the show, LEDN.io. This is where you can use your Bitcoin for a variety of different services. They've got their Bitcoin savings account where you can earn interest on your Bitcoin paid in Bitcoin. They've got their Bitcoin backed loans where you can use your Bitcoin as collateral to secure a Canadian or US dollar loan. So if you need to get your hands on dollars, but you don't want to sell your Bitcoin to do that, you can always check this out. And finally, they've got their B2X offering. This is where you can get double the exposure to the price fluctuations of Bitcoin. And of course, we also have Rise Wallet. This is a physical Bitcoin gift card that you can pick up at a store near you and gift to anybody. It's super easy, super idiot proof, and I love it. I've gifted it to a bunch of people. And the way it works is you pick one up and you gift it to whoever you like. It instructs them on the back of the card to download an app, scratch off the code and scan it with the app. At that point, it creates them their own Bitcoin wallet on their own phone and then sends them an on-chain transaction for the face value of the card. If you want to check them out, head to risewallet.com and click on locations to see where you can pick one up. Now, this is currently only in Canada, but they're looking at expanding, so keep an eye on them. And if it happens not to be near you in Canada, you can always go to coincards.ca to get some delivered. And with that, let's dive into the show. So this was a show, I recorded this just the other day actually. I was up in Edmonton doing a presentation and I decided to swing by and see a friend of mine, JD, who does a lot of work out of Bitcoin Solutions in Edmonton, which is run by another one of my friends. But we wanted to chat a little bit about Lightning Network and check out one of the cool Lightning related projects that he's been working on. So we dive into the project, how he put it together. We refer to another project which I covered on the show previously, which I'll also link to that video down below. And then we talk about Lightning Network in general, kind of where it started, what it's become, and kind of what the implications for it are in the future. So I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And yeah, that's it. We'll see ya. Hey everyone, I am here at Bitcoin Solutions in Edmonton, and I'm here with
Jarrett, or JD2983 on Twitter and a few other places.
Awesome, and so we've met multiple times. A while back, you made like a Lightning Network jukebox, and I did a video. I'll link to that down below if you guys want to check it out. But you've been working on some other cool projects.
Yeah, so this has kind of been my thing on the weekends. We got the meetup here, and a bunch of us meet up and work on different projects. So I've just always had a few tinker things ongoing. So the jukebox was the first one. Mm-hmm. Sort of the second large project is this thing blinking behind us, which is a Pepsi machine, which I did a Bitcoin conversion on. So I think that's what we're going to talk about.
Awesome. And so we'll take a look at the machine. You wanted to touch on a number of different things. So we'll dive into, maybe let's dive into, I guess this originally was just a regular functioning, I guess like just a Pepsi machine, and you retrofitted it, you changed it. What were the inner workings before, I guess?
Yeah, so this machine I assume would be designed in like the 1970s, like me growing up in the 90s, like this is the machine kind of thing you'd see.
Yeah.
So actually like taking it apart and figuring it out kind of gave me some appreciation. Like it's kind of almost like it feels steampunk in a way.
Yeah.
Like this is the coin mechanism I ripped out to replace with the Bitcoin. So like this is a mechanical device. Right, so you'd have like quarters and nickels and dimes in your pocket.
Yeah.
And you just remember like the last time you used a machine like that, when you're feeding coins into it, you kind of hear the coin fall through, and you'd either, one of two things would happen. You get like the nice satisfying like tink accepted thing, or you'd get like the reject. It would fall in like the coin return slot.
Yeah. It's pretty. I mean, it looks like it would be from, the 70s or 80s, right?
So in fact, I did drop this one, so I kind of screwed it up a bit. And there might be some electronics in it, but not really like...
pretty bare bones.
Yeah, it's a mechanical device inside, I think. Yeah. And this machine, it doesn't have any silicon in it. There's no like microchips. It entirely works on alternating current.
Yeah.
So if you're the guy in the 1970s designing this thing, why would you put a circuit board really in it? You just wire it all together. It's like motors in this mechanical device.
Yeah.
So that was the starting point to kind of get to Bitcoin.
Awesome. So can we? I guess let's take. Do you want to take a look at the guts of it, or
maybe we'll do that? I kind of want to explain how this works on the outside first. But first, so you might have seen some of these out in the field. They have like a credit card reader on it. Of course, these things got old and kind of credit cards became the thing, and so you get like a credit card reader in one of these slots. And if you think about what that means is like a vending machine company. You'd have to have a relationship with a credit card company, and if they don't like your business, they can shut you off. They're probably taking 5%, 10%, whatever it is. I don't know about you, but like I don't have tap to pay on my card, so like I've never been able to get one of these to actually work.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of like credit cards almost ruin the simplicity of these machines. So the nice thing about Bitcoin is it kind of like allows you to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Like you're not asking permission from some company. Like I happen to have built this with OpenNode, so I have an account, like it's a custodial account that it's doing the invoicing.
Yeah.
But there's no reason why you couldn't run BTC Pay Server, your own nodes.
Yeah.
So if you were an upstart vending machine company, you could run your own server, you could have 100 machines like this out in the field.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to tell you not to do it.
It's like a return. Oddly enough, it's a return to the original days of these vending machines in a way. Like you're accepting payment directly. You're not going through third parties. And
if you think even like as kids, like in the grocery store, there'd be like gumball machines for 5 cents, right?
Yeah.
You can't do that with a credit card.
Yeah.
But you can do that with Lightning Network.
Yeah.
When you have small payments. And kind of the things of like, I want to buy a sticker, I want to buy a gumball, and all that. And lots of fun machines got designed in the 1950s and the 1960s that, little pinball machines and whatever else. Like they just don't work with a credit card.
Yeah.
So I think we're getting back to that, and I'm pretty excited.
That's awesome. That's great. Cool. Well, do you want to take a peek?
Or
do you want to try one?
I'll explain how it works just from the outside, and we'll actually do a payment before we actually pull it.
Okay, sounds good.
Pull inside. So this QR code, it always has a valid payment. So every time the price volatility changes, it respins the invoice. So I've got it stable at $1 Canadian. It'll just regenerate. Also, the invoices expire after a while. They're kind of live invoices in the Lightning Network. So this will change periodically. But the idea is you walk up to it and you don't have to press any buttons. You just scan the QR and pay. So I got a Claire Mobile booting up slowly here. It shows on here the latest exchange rate. So it fetched it about 40 minutes ago. So 8,449 Satoshis is $1 Canadian.
Cool.
So I'm going to scan that payment code. My camera can focus. So the dollar here, it registered, so whatever my wallet is using for it also thinks that's $1, so that's a good sign. So we'll go ahead, payment sent. So my phone.
There we go.
All right, so I'll pause you for a second there.
Yeah.
So one thing with the coins, as I mentioned, you get like the satisfying sounds as feedback.
Yeah.
When I first did this, people were getting confused when you paid because this QR code or the e-ink was very slow to respond. You didn't get any user feedback.
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing is adding these lights. To give you an animation when something happened,
yeah,
and also like to draw your eyes to these buttons,
yeah,
and then eventually this says please select drink. So I'll go for a Mountain Dew. So that's all pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
it's cold.
Yeah.
So that's what you get for 8,400 and. Already see it respun. It checked the latest price, so it's slightly different Satoshi price, but it's more up to date.
And now we have a
Mountain Dew.
Ice cold Mountain Dew. There we go.
And it resets. So I guess we'll reset and open it up. Okay, so the coin mechanism came out of down here, so it would be sort of under where the coin slot is. So we ripped that right the heck out. Don't need no filthy fiat.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty basic inside. Now, well, I'll actually pull this. So this thing has a what's called a Jones plug on it, which is probably designed like World War II era type thing. So there's so if you replace this out with like a US version, it would be the same interface, and you'd plug in right here. So that was where I had to jack in with the Raspberry Pi to be able to credit the machine with a coin. So yeah, up here I got a Raspberry Pi 2. It's connected over Ethernet. I'm powered, and there's basically two things aside from the lights. There's kind of two things to make the vending machine go. One, it has to trigger the payment. So I have the Raspberry Pi triggering a relay unit, so that clicks to vend a drink. But then also I have to detect when the drink is dropped and to reset the whole operation. So a voltage comes back to say that it's all done. And so I've got to read that back in. So I've got a little piece of electronics in there. It's called an opto isolator. I had to learn this. I'm not really a hardware person, but there's lots of like Raspberry Pi tutorials for like how to do various circuits. So just Googling that, I was able to kind of feel my way around that.
That's cool.
And so yeah, the Raspberry Pi drives the e-ink, so I got the wires kind of going out, and then it also drives the lights. And yeah, the lights have their own power supply because it's a fair bit of current to actually power all that brightness.
Wow. Damn. How long did it take you to kind of jerry-rig this together and get it functional? Maybe about 6 months. Like there's kind of a few phases where like I took photos of it and like kind of scratched my head to figure out how it all worked. As I mentioned, like I'm a software guy. I haven't really done a lot of hardware, so I just had to like figure out how it worked, and then kind of design what seemed like I needed, and then try that out and like, oh wait, the circuit actually works in a different way, and then I have to order some more parts and all that. So it took about 6 months to kind of get it going, and then I realized my software was kind of crappy, so I ended up rewriting it, and then like OpenNode came along, which is a very easy API which I use. They provide the price and the Lightning invoicing. So that came along. So you're working weekends throughout the year, sort of little bit, 4 hours on a Saturday. Kind of took the whole year, and then over the holidays, put 3 days to kind of finish it off. So now that we've kind of taken a look at, I guess, your project, and this is the other project we were talking about, the jukebox that you put together. I guess let's chat generally about Lightning Network. So when did Lightning Network actually launch that anybody can use it?
So probably early 2018 was when it went on mainnet, and there's a whole Reckless meme because the software was very buggy and all that. Like I think the first app that really captured people's attention was Satoshi's Place, if I recall. That was about summer of 2018.
I recall playing around on that.
Or was this 2017? I might.
No, I think 2018.
Okay, 2018. So that was kind of the first like aha app where a lot of people kind of recognized the power of the Lightning Network. Now I built this. We covered this in the previous video back in, I think it was March-ish. So when I built this back in March of last year, at the time we did the video, this like the Lightning Network had just barely started to work for me. Where like I built this and I was able to pay for jukebox songs, but really only at that point where like somebody random was able to walk up with a wallet and be able to pay on the jukebox. And still it was like 50-50 kind of proposition. Since then, so like in less than a year since then, like the Lightning Network has just gone exponential as far as usability and all the cool stuff that's falling out. So I'm not even worried at all when we're doing the vending machine whether the payment's going to go through it. Like it's a 99% proposition.
And I noticed it as well. Like when I first started, it was kind of hit or miss whether the payment would successfully execute, and it was largely an issue with routing, right?
Routing and liquidity, and the wallets were buggy, so channels would be advertised and maybe they weren't useful, just due to a bug, that kind of thing. So like as the C Lightning and the LND releases started rolling out, like they just got better and things worked better. Was my what I kind of followed along.
And now I'm not sure if you're seeing the same thing, but a lot of the complications, the back end stuff are
in some cases being abstracted away for regular users. Like if somebody wants to download a Lightning wallet today, it's much different than, you know, Q1, Q2 of 2018.
Yeah, there's a lot of innovation now happening in the wallet space. Some of the newer wallets like Breeze and Phoenix are trying different things. There's also a thing called LNURL, which is sort of a protocol that sits on top of Lightning that kind of does some convenient things like requesting invoices and making it easy for you to withdraw from a service and that kind of thing. There's a few things missing from the protocol at a user interface level that LNURL is starting to fill those things in. So I think we're entering a phase where there's going to be a lot of experimentation with user interface.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually going to turn out a lot differently than we might expect. There's things that are very much like paradigm breaking.
Yeah.
You, like the instant nature of the payments, does it really make sense to have sort of a shopping cart metaphor where you do all your shopping and then check out?
Yeah.
You know, what if you know, you're at Subway and you're like, yeah, I want pickles, scan. Yes, I want tomatoes, scan.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. There's different possibilities for what you can implement.
And we were having a bit of discussion last night about the implications of the Lightning Network as a whole, because right now the focus tends to be, hey, I can pay very quickly and very cheaply, and it's you know, it's more focused on, you know, things like that. Like I can buy a can of pop, or I can, you know, pay for a song. But you were also alluding to that we may start to see things completely different from that, just because of the nature of the fact that Bitcoin base layer is kind of in the early stages of ossification and is staying pretty put, whereas this allows for that quicker movement of innovation on top without compromise.
Yeah, so one of the things that's really impressed me is the node implementations. They make them very amenable to experimentation. If you want to hack into them and do something weird, you can do that with like the C Lightning plugin interface. That's fundamentally different than Bitcoin Core itself. There's a lot of people that had cool ideas that floated them with the Bitcoin Core team, and then they essentially got shut down because the project was about security. Lightning Network is not about necessarily security. I mean, it's bad to lose money, but it's about open experimentation, and the software is really built in that way.
Now, it's interesting that there's this mentality that the tinkerers and the techie people. I think at least in you know, when you go on Twitter or something, there's this inclination to believe that the tinkerers are going to other platforms, and I suppose in some instances that's true. Like, and Bitcoin gets this I guess projection of the money guys stayed with Bitcoin, and the tinkerers and the software people went elsewhere, but you didn't follow that path. I don't know whether you'd push back against that assertion, but what drove you to stick with Bitcoin before there were layered approaches that you could tinker with, and I guess kind of elaborate on that.
Yeah, so I think there's some truth to it. I think a lot of the tinkerers, found more welcoming community in Ethereum. Now, I think the technology ultimately didn't deliver what those people were looking for. Maybe that'll change going forward. I'm not really following it that much. But yeah, there's. I think those people are coming back to Bitcoin. I guess I kind of. Just my background in software and prior to Bitcoin, I was able to follow some of the block debate at levels that maybe the casual observer didn't. So I learned about the Lightning Network at the initial presentation of it. I didn't think much of it at the time, but a couple months after that, it kept coming up. So at that point, I kind of clued in. The Lightning Network's pretty impressive. And that kind of this layered approach, and even the sidechain discussion with the layered approach was coming on. So I had more patience for waiting for Bitcoin to get it right. Particularly because security. There's always a trade-off between security and convenience. So a lot of blockchains, they're advertising them as very convenient blockchains, which is like saying they're not very secure blockchains.
Inherently, there's always to achieve X, you must trade off with Y kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's gratifying now to have, you know, what would have been predicted back then. It was kind of a leap of faith, you know, with knowledge of like SegWit, right? SegWit only came along in mid 2017, yeah. Right. So yeah, SegWit was really the necessary piece to kind of open the floodgates of all this. And I think a lot of people that understood what SegWit was kind of understood that, like, once we got that, then the innovation is going to start. Yeah.
And the pace has been from my perspective, the pace since that was enabled has been pretty staggering. Like, I mean, a lot of people outside of the space may not realize how quickly things are moving, but what's your take on kind of where we're at and where we can be, and what are you seeing happening, and is there anything that excites you that's coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot of like tinkerers working on Lightning Network. There's been a couple hackathons, the Boltathon. There's been 2 iterations of that, and then whenever there's been like a large Lightning Network event, there's been sort of hackathons. So following those projects, it's kind of easy to now explore a random idea in your head. The other thing too, like SegWit, we're only like 2.5 years. I think kind of a law of the universe when it comes to software projects is it takes about 2 years to get them off the ground.
Yeah.
So Lightning Network, you know, the node implementations themselves kind of took 2 years to get good.
Yeah.
And something like Liquid, which is a hot topic right now.
Yeah.
You know, that's been cooking in the background for a while, and now they're finally going forward with that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, stuff like Wasabi Wallet and all that. It was, if you think back 1.5 years, it was like an idea.
Yeah.
And then the software release came and it was okay. But then, you know, then they just continue on.
Yeah.
So I think, we'll have to get used to that, of like projects that'll start today that are going to pay off in 2 years.
Yeah. 100%. So I guess how we'll kind of cap it is, where can people find you, stuff that you're working on? Is there anything that you want to point people towards that are maybe people that are curious about Lightning or what you're working on?
Okay, well, so my main gig full-time, I'm working on a thing called Sparkshot, sparkshot.io. We're going into beta soon.
Cool.
So yeah, Sparkshot_IO on Twitter. Okay. My personal Twitter feed is JD2983. I keep touch with things. I do presentations for the meetup and various things that go through my Twitter feed.
Yeah, and you're also a big. You're a big part of the Bitcoin Edmonton meetup, right?
Yeah, so we have the thing called the Edmonton Bitcoin Association, which is our Edmonton meetup, more or less. A few of the kind of OGs that have been with the meetup for a while.
Yeah.
It's not a huge organization. Like, we just organize the meetup, and it's kind of a rallying point of like, hey, let's all work together on Promote Bitcoin in Edmonton.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'm part of that, as well as a few other local companies, including Bitcoin Solutions.
Cool. Awesome. So I'll link to all of that below, plus anything else that you think is relevant to check out. So make sure everybody be sure to share this out. Check him out on Twitter, and let me know your thoughts on, I guess, some of the stuff that we talked about in regards to Lightning and the implications of it. So thanks a lot for chatting with me.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the interview. I hope you found it interesting what can be done with Lightning and what the implications of Lightning could be in the future. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. Now, if you want to help out the show, you can always check out the sponsors that I mentioned at the beginning, LEDN and Rise Wallet. Both of those are in the show notes. You can also, if you want to help with the show, check out Wasabi Wallet, which is another sponsor of mine, great for Bitcoin privacy. And finally, you can check out NordVPN. I use this on my computer and on my phone all the time. It hides your IP address, it encrypts your browsing data, and it has other added benefits like unlocking geoblock content. So if you can't access some content in your area, simply change your country of origin from within the Nord app, and boom, it's unlocked for you. So if you want to check them out, there is a link in the show notes below, or you can just head to their website, nordvpn.com, and use the code BTC Sessions, all one word. It'll get you a deal where you get 70% off plus a free month. It ends up being about $3.49 a month, so pretty damn good in my opinion. With that, I am out. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I will see you next time for your daily session.